From a sort of addiction perspective, I'm just going to mention this. I've done a lot of shows so far on addiction and trauma, and a lot of the research that's been done, a lot of literature out there says pretty much every single time, near enough, every form of addiction was a causation from trauma. So do you feel the link between trauma and disordered eating, the percentage is very high for that? Or can someone have disordered eating without any levels of trauma or not getting their needs met? Can it manifest without those things? Or do you think that most of the time is the trigger?
I can't say with certainty if it manifests without those things. I've never come across, I've never worked with anybody who hasn't had any kind of trauma, using that more expanded definition anyway of trauma that we were talking about before. Every single person that I've worked with has had such a background and such experiences. And those are actually, I speak in my practice a lot about going deeper into the underlying root causes of eating and body image issues. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Whatever traumas, again, smaller, bigger, anything that anybody has experienced coming from a too much or too little place, this is exactly what we're called to work on and with, to really unearth, to kind of repair what has happened in the past, so that then the behaviors that they use become unnecessary. They're not needed anymore. So it's not so much about going in and kind of stopping or getting rid of anything. It's actually following and tracing it back to see, okay, where did it start? And how has it been serving you? And how can we find other ways to fulfill those needs other than using food and the body in these unhelpful ways? So this is really the core of the work.
Yeah, it's a really nice way to put it. It makes me think a lot about sort of the mindfulness work that my partner does. It's not about getting rid of anything. It's changing your relationship with your thoughts, with your emotions, being able to observe them compassionately. All of these kind of blend together, don't it? This way you interact with your own experience is so powerful, isn't it? And for sure, that's what transformed my life. The therapies taught me the ability to observe. So it all connects in. This ties in quite nicely to the next question. So we can kind of put these two questions together, which is the commonalities in these behaviors and kind of the reasoning behind them. So I guess when things happen to people, be it little t, big T traumas, it can manifest in different ways. Sometimes it might not even be food related. It could be something else. It could be substance abuse, or could just be an issue with regulating emotion, anger issues. So I guess this is in the spectrum of all those things. Disordered eating fits into parts of that spectrum. So obviously, I just wanted to ask you straight up, so we've all heard about anorexia, we've all heard about bulimia, but I'm presuming it's not as simple as just those two. There's going to be, I don't know, is there different varieties of disordered eating which don't necessarily fit those two models?
There is a very big variety and very many different manifestations of eating issues. So, we know quite a lot, as you said, about anorexia and bulimia, as well as binge eating disorder. We have that there. We also have body dysmorphia and body dysmorphic disorder. That is something that we're more familiar with. But exactly going back to what we were saying before, that those can be quite rigid and limiting categories. And around them, there is a whole lot of experiences that have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and can manifest in a completely different way. So absolutely. And it may be fair to say that, being able to fall into these categories at different times might be what draws somebody to do some work, because then it becomes really serious. It interferes with people's functioning in a much bigger way.